Thanks to our sponsor today, ALLTHINGSARB, the UK's leading business finance broker for the ARB industry. If you're looking to finance a new or used machine, get an instant finance estimate from ALLTHINGSARB. Find hundreds of trusted machines at allthinginsarb.co.uk or source a machine yourself from any dealer or private seller. ALLTHINGSARB will spread the cost of ownership with competitive, affordable monthly payments and a market-leading low fixed rate. Play online 24/7 at allthinginsarb.co.uk. ALLTHINGSARB is 100% impartial and 100% ARB. This week we're keeping nice and warm and out of the bed weather, as for once we have gone north and we are joined by Ben Booker from Sotrac right here in Leeds. We had a bit of a challenge getting up.
Yeah.
It's absolutely dismal. It's been snowing even more since we've got here. And we're going to have to go home in this later.
I know.
But yeah.
The Yorkshire weather.
Oh yeah, I forgot Yorkshire, Leeds. I've always thought Leeds as being on its own. And then when you get to Yorkshire, you're finally in Yorkshire. But it's right on the border, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
right.
God's
This
country.
is episode 26 of the All Things Are podcast. Thank you for having us up, mate.
No problem.
It's been one of those things lately. Theft in the arboriculture industry has gone through the roof. And I thought, you know what, who's better? Give me mate Ben a ring. Let's come with Sotrac. Let's have a look, see what you got on offer.
Yep.
So I've never had the chance to actually sit down with you in a bit more of a personal way, because we spoke business many, many moons ago when I did the magazine. But one question I've always wanted to ask you is, what is your background in the industry?
Yeah, well, good question. So for about 15, 16 years, I worked for a company called Satrac, who you probably reached out to back in the day when we were talking about the magazine. We were owned by a guy called Dan, and he basically sold up the business back in 2018. So when he sold, my decision was work for the new company, which I did for a certain period of time, and then decided, do you know what, I'm going to give it a go and set up myself. So my background really is predominantly telematics, but specifically in the construction industry for machines and for equipment that are construction based, rather than the vehicles and all the kind of things that you probably hear about from other companies. So the industry is just unfortunately something I kind of not got laboured with, but I really enjoy and really excites me every day. And also the biggest thing about the industry is we get to meet people like this, where it's one person that's owned a business or one person that owns a business that's grown a business to a certain degree, or even further. Yeah,
you can relate to them because you understand the challenges. I'll speak to hundreds of people throughout the year, and the guys who have gone from working for someone to run the business themselves, to go, I don't know how I got here. I've had amazing staff working for me. I took a couple of gambles. Some have absolutely failed. Some have really paid off. Yeah. And then you go, I've been doing this 2-3 years, and you go, God, that was a couple of years ago, really quick, and I've kept my head above water, and everything's going nice and smooth. But it's always interesting when you finally sit down with someone and go, right, what challenges have you faced as you start on your business? Were there any significant ones for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, first things first was actually like, what do we call it? How do we get into the industry with some other key players in the industry having a lot more financial backing than maybe we did? I'm just a guy out of the middle of nowhere that had very little to set up the business, and so the biggest challenge was actually kind of going and doing it. And that sounds really strange, but actually just going and actually saying, do you know what, get in your car and go sell something that's yours. And for the first 12 months of the business, we've been doing it for 2.5 years now. It was just me. Going out, speaking to people, selling them the units, calling them up, chasing the money, all of the things that most small to medium-sized businesses do from their bedroom per se, is where it all started. And then obviously now you get a little bit further down the line, and we're sort of, 24, 26 months into it now, and we have a bigger office, some more staff, and as we grow, we start to sort of really get a lot of traction in terms of not having to go find as much custom as the custom finds us.
Were you ever at the stage where you knew you were pushing it back, starting the business, because you were constantly planning? Were you trying to plan for, if anything went wrong, we've got this option?
No, absolutely not. No, I'm completely the opposite kind of personality that you might. My believing was, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Yeah. So I never worried about it not working, because I always kind of guaranteed myself that it would. And that sounds corny, but it was completely true. My thought was this: I know the industry so well. I'd sold into it for 15 years. I'd done all the roles within the business that apart from actually being the managing director or the owner and actually being my money.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew that I wasn't gonna fail at it as such. And don't get me wrong, between the start and where we are now, there's been road bumps, there's been, the speed bumps, as I call them, in the road, where you kind of, let's just say, things don't go your way. But I never thought that we were going to fail at it, no.
So where did the name come from?
Two things. So obviously the SO can mean software tracking, so we wanted to be a little bit different. And obviously, if you know the kind of other people in our industry or other competitors, none of them had anything. A lot of the people were called, apart from the previous business that I worked for, you didn't know it was about tracking. And when I pick up the phone, I want people to not ask me what it's about. They kind of get it. So the track always had to be there. And then the SO part was... So does that make sense? So when you're cold calling someone, which I believe in cold calling so much, it's my passion, is, hi, I'm calling from SoTrack. They can't get that wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm calling from, I don't know, something that doesn't have the word track in it, then you're having to kind of explain who you are before you even get started. And nobody likes that.
I still have that issue now, even with the podcast, because you go, it's All Things Arb, and that, we used to be called All Things Arb, now we're All Things Arb Podcast.
Okay.
Because people immediately go, oh, podcast. But because our industry's still a little bit in the dark ages, they go, what's a podcast? And you go, it's been around 10 plus years and you don't know what a podcast is.
You probably use the apps on your phone, but you just don't know where to go.
Yeah, you don't actually know what it is. You just go, oh, I listen to it on Spotify or I listen to it on iTunes, for instance. But you mentioned cold calling. That has been the bane of my life and of many, many sales guys in the past. That fear of picking up the phone and going, right, what am I going to say to it? You've got to come to terms going, right, you're going to spend the next 6 months completely failing at it. Every now and again, you'll get a win, but you're going to fail at it. And when you get your confidence there, it comes from knowing what your product is, knowing what the capabilities are, and being able to answer every single question going out to people. It's luckily for arborists, we don't really have to do any amount of cold calling. We normally get the warm leads come through off Google, for instance, or mainly word of mouth. But for any businesses such as yourself, cold calling, people just don't do it anymore. Like the decline in it has gone off. Everyone emails everyone, or they'll send messages on LinkedIn, and you go, it's so easy to look at a message and go, right, delete. But if someone's got you on the phone and got that hook, and you go in, I'll listen, I'll go with it. You go there with it. When did you launch it? Was it 2000?
Yeah, 2019. So November 2019.
Oh, right before COVID.
Yep. So we launched the business, and in November 19, get in the car, go see some people, sell a few units. January comes, there's talk about COVID this, COVID that. Not really sure what that means. February comes, COVID becomes like a big apparent mess. And March comes and it's like country shut down, construction's not sure whether it's supposed to work or not. So, for 3 months there, it was testing, but luckily I was on my own, wasn't I? So I could just sit back and kind of wait for the doors to open again. My problem was I was doing the cold calling and people going, do you know what's going on out there? Do you know what's going on out in the big bad world with COVID? So we kind of just battened down the hatches for 3 months, and then in June, the phone just started calling again. People were saying, we need to get these tracked, we need this tracked, we need that tracked. So we were back out in the field.
It's like COVID's just one of those things. I know we're going on quite a bit on the podcast, but everyone suffered from it. And you don't actually think of you as a business going, oh, I can't actually just ring up this customer because this customer's got all of their staff. You'd like a typical job site, 500 plus people on one of the really big ones, and going, oh, they're all back at home. They're not actually going in. They're not using any of the equipment. It's on a secure compound. That's my customer base effectively being removed for a couple of months. I was lucky. I went lazy in 2020. I just went, kind of seeing it coming. Start with a magazine. I'm going to put my feet up for 6 months. And I got really bored and went, okay, I want to do something. And hence where the podcast is now. So going out doing your first, obviously you got 15 plus years of like selling the trackers to them. Was it more nerve-wracking, or was you just as confident going to meet your first customer because you knew the product inside out?
No, I had a coach when I was at the business that was bought by SatTrack, and he always used to say to me, because I had aspirations to always go on my own anyway.
Yeah.
People knew that. And he used to say to me, the first person you go sell it to will be the best person the one person you'll remember, and the first person that gives you the money and actually physically pays you through the bank will make you so excited. And listen, it didn't scare me, and it doesn't. I still get. It's a weird one. I still get excited now when people pay you, even if it's like 10 quid, because you're still getting
Yeah,
I'm
because
still,
you've made that money yourself. No one else has made
so
that for
nothing,
you.
No, I know I said it earlier, but nothing. Listen, as we said before you started, you know, if you don't get nervous about what you do, you're not doing something that excites you.
Yeah.
And of course you get nervous, but I enjoy what I do day in, day out. I still go out and meet customers. I still meet every single customer we can, predominantly, because it's the story behind it gives us a lot more credentiality than maybe another company that comes along that's just a sales guy that'll be $5,000 richer somewhere else on the next job in the next pay salary. You know,
you make it when you a small business deals with another small business, it makes it a lot easier to relate to them because you know they've gone from the struggles. But if you ring up the likes of, like we use Eon, the energy company, you're through to a call centre, and all you know is, right, I've got a 40-minute wait.
Yeah.
Where you never,
and then when you get put through, it's a tedious wait. So you're getting to the point where you're really annoyed and you take it out on them, and actually all they are is a person that's trying to make their money too.
Yeah.
Whereas when like you say, when you're speaking to people that own a business, whether it be similar size or even bigger businesses that have grown to 30, 40 million pound turnover, it's still a guy that you're meeting that ran the business from the beginning. I like to understand, where did you come from?
Yeah.
Rather than where are we today and just let's sell you some trackers. Where have you come from? Tell me, because that experience might help me. And sometimes now, we've been doing it a little bit longer than 2.5 years. Some people ask me, where did you come from? Where has it gone? Where is it going? And I don't have a magic wand, but I know where I'd like it to go. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun.
How many trackers have you got in place at the moment?
So we've probably got about 6,500 license.
I don't think it was that many.
Yeah, so 6,500 license payers right now. So when, in the pomp of the business that we previously had, it was about 25,000. Okay, wow. We've got about 6,500 in 2.5 years. So we've grown sort of exponentially quite quickly. Yeah. And what we've seen is the theft is on a rise. Yeah. But machines coming in is on a decrease because of the waiting times. So what I saw at the end of last year, the last 3 months of last year, was kind of like a plateau rather than the growth trajectory. So at that point then we decided that we would implement more staff, so more internal salespeople making the cold calls to far reach and get our sort of products and services out there. We've also done a little bit of a magazine called Diggers Live, and we've started advertising in that too, which is the first. I don't have that kind of marketing background, so I stay away from it. I'm more of a sales person, so we've tried that avenue too. So it's gone to 6,500 now. We've just touched that over the last couple of weeks. We're looking to get to past and beyond 10,000 by the end of this year, and then with 2023, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to see a lot more of the construction industry machines churning a lot quicker. As they churn in a lot quicker, I think we'll probably aim to get another 7,500 new users after that. So we'll be at 17,500 by 2023.
I don't think it was that many. I thought it was like a couple of thousand. That's all.
No.
And what would you say? You like quite a big player in the industry, or still quite small?
No, I'd say we're small, very very small to medium. We're touching the surface. If you think about, if you do a little bit of research into the construction industry as such, because I know agricultural is slightly different, but we're talking about last year. I think the latest statistics were about 400 million pounds worth of equipment was stolen. 400 million. So for a Forbes chipper that's worth 16,000 pounds, that's a lot of chippers that go missing. And people still don't track them. They still don't take the extra. Well, I've spent 15,000 pound on this machine. I don't want to pay 500 pound for a tracker. Yeah. Right. Well,
I'd rather just risk it on the insurance company paying out for it.
Yeah, or the insurance company will pay out. The premiums will go up. We get that. The headache of going through an insurance company. But the big change and the big thing that's changed in the last 6 to 8 months is you can't go hire the chipper off the local guy that you used to be able to hire off because he's already hiring someone else. Yeah. So you can't go get the chipper back that you had that was stolen. Or you can't go buy another chipper from another manufacturer and have it delivered within 4 weeks like you used to be able to. You're waiting 4 months, if you're lucky, maybe even 12 months. Yeah. So the landscape's changed, which means that we've had an increase. Obviously, unfortunately, we do have that kind of, we have to have a thief that makes people want to buy our products and services. So there is a negative to it. But at the same time, we're not trying to have a positive effect from a thief. We're trying to actually what I'm trying to do is educate people to buy before it even happens, so they can have a positive result.
So people only go, oh, it's been it, right, next time I'll get a tracker installed. I'll try and...
Horses bolted.
I'll try and increase my chances of being able to recover the machine.
Yeah.
Then having to go, right, I need to work a couple of extra days because my premium's gone up this year. How many ORB-related businesses are you working with roughly now?
Ooh, good question. I'd say that we've probably got, I would say maybe about 10 to 15 at the moment. And that ranges from, I mean, if you look at, we just did a newsletter on LinkedIn, 25% of our business is in the in the ARB sector, let's say, because they have lots of machines. But I would say that 80% of our business is using mobile apps to actually go onto the system and actually see where things are.
Yeah.
So a lot of people used to buy trackers and they would fit and forget it, and then when it went missing, the tracker company would ring you up and say your machine's activated, or you would ring them up and say, well, can you activate the tracker now? We've paid you all this money and all this service for X amount of years. Whereas what we do is slightly different. You've got an app, you can just go onto it whenever you like and just go, do you know what? That's where my assets are today. Yeah. They're supposed to be there. I'm not saying a lot of people say it, but I can sleep at night tonight. You know, maybe not that extreme. Yeah, the idea is if I'm putting, I don't know, £1 million worth of kit out there in the field, then maybe I actually want that kind of background check to be able to see where my vehicles are or see where my machines are.
It's like people will get security systems installed for the home.
Yep.
You've got obviously an alarm on your vehicle,
alarm on your house,
you've got an alarm on the truck, but
CCTV in your yard.
Yeah, but your assets such as like a stump grinder or a wood chipper or anything along those lines, I don't get why people don't spend the money. What is the cost of a typical tracker nowadays?
So I mean, typical cost it varies because obviously because of the companies that we deal with, we deal with one company that's got one chipper, and we aspire, and my aspiration is to deal with someone that's got one chipper and someone that's got 100.
Yeah,
they're all treated the same, and you know that one chipper is just as important as someone that's got 100. So you can buy the units, and look, you're talking about all-in cost for 1 year, £500, along those lines.
It's not a lot.
So in respect and in reality to the actual cost of an actual chipper or the replacement or the insurance premium increase, it's negligible. It's very minimal. But then you've got your other larger companies that we also aspire to deal with too, that maybe have 100 to 150. And when you start adding those kind of numbers up, they kind of get, it's a bit more standoffish.
Yeah.
Then we have options to finance the hardware and finance the installation and finance the subscription costs too. So it basically means that it's like hiring a car. Rather than paying £500 up front times by 100 and it being £50,000, you pay, I don't know, £18 per month per tracker, and you go, right, actually, we can break that cost down. There's no CapEx. We can track everything, and we pay monthly for it. Just like you do with all the other bits and pieces.
So is the tracker and then the subscription service, they two separate things?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So
you bought sorry, just to make sure I know what I'm going on about. Is it £500 just for the tracking device, or does that include? That's all in.
All in. So you buy the hardware. The hardware is installed, and then you have an annual subscription for the running cost of the apps, the UI on the normal sort of interface that you would use on your laptop.
Right, so why don't people just get trackers installed then? Because it's not like, I understand if you're like
I do get reasons why. I mean, look, there is also people that are part of the industry that have used tracking systems before. They've lost machines and they fall out of faith with it as such.
Yeah.
So and my actual honest answer to that is, look, there's nothing I can do or anything I can say that will change your mind. However, we've designed this for your industry. We've designed this for you. Not for me, for you.
Yeah.
And when we went out there and started the business, we knew what customers wanted and what customers needed. And it was plant-based, it was construction-based. It was a text if the machine was moved out of hours rather than ringing a call centre or an email. And it's kind of a bit more intuitive in that way. So a lot more people are becoming like, they're getting to the point where they're now starting to think, actually, we do trust, and we have a trusted brand now.
Yeah.
And people start to realise who we are and what we do. And we don't venture into the logistics, we don't venture into the warehousing companies and all those kind of things. So they start to see us the provider of choice for a reason. That's who we deal with.
Yeah, so, I like that. You're not trying to say, we can
absolutely not.
We can save you a couple of miles per gallon each year if you do all that stuff.
No, absolutely not. And that's the big thing with me is, look, if someone came along and said, I'll buy 100 trackers off you, I'm a warehouse company, of course I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? But at the same time, my guys and the team behind us okay, and the team behind SoTrack are ringing the people that are listening to this podcast and the people that want to listen to arboricultural, tree surgery. I want to keep my chippers safe. I want to keep my fleet safe. I want to keep my gang safe when they're out in the vehicles. And also,
well, it was last night. We have a mutual connection, and he put a screenshot up, and you could see where all of his teams were at that time.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, you'd go, right, I know where team A is, I know where team B is. If there's an issue, I can get help to them straight away instead of them going, well, we're at the Saturday A50 between this milepost and this milepost. It's pinpoint precision, which I really like that when I seen it last night. Because again, it's one of those things you don't think about of going, right, there's a massive storm going on. Where are my lads at the moment?
I mean,
you want to get them home to their families.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's the biggest difference between some people that are kind of coming to terms with the technology as such, because it can be used in so many different ways. Tracking on vehicles, like you talked about there, it was renowned for battering people and telling people that they were late for work or they were late to site. Those days have gone.
Because I was reading a case study, because obviously I like to do my research. I was reading a case study with a rival, and the biggest claim was it improved like 10% of timekeeping. And it was going, right, no, you're not seeing that. That clearly says to me you don't trust your employees to turn up on time, but you're making that as one of your big claims. It was a bit like...
The gangs go out last night, 7 to 10 people out last night around Derbyshire area. They're working on, some of the worst storms that the country's ever seen. And, the owner of that business is making sure that he can see where the guys are to help maybe other staff get to the same site to help to get the job done quicker. So obviously that'll help utilisation. But also making sure that the guys get home at 1, 2, 3 o'clock last night, like you were saying, because they're back home to their families, and we've all got children or wives and families to look after. So that's really, I think that's a really important thing. And it was great that, I know it's funny that we're doing the podcast today, but maybe the storm happened for a reason, and you can talk about these kind of things.
Yeah. What is the typical size of a tracker? Is it like size of a mobile phone, size of a tablet?
Yeah, no, so the technology has really advanced over the last 3, 4, 5 years. So I would say that usually if it's in the palm of your hand, packet of cigarettes, just a little bit bigger. Waterproof, vibration, tested, IP67, everything you need it to be. I say to clients, it's designed to live in the chipper, digger, dumper, whatever you're going to decide to put it in forever and never see the machine again. Because obviously you don't want the machines in your yard, you want your machines out working. So, but all the units are fully transferable, so you can reuse them. So it's basically what we're trying to do also is when we do sell you a piece of hardware, it's an asset. So you can keep it forever, and you can change it from one chipper to another machine and use it as an asset within your business, rather than it just being a throwaway tracker.
So that was going to be my next question. Right, I've got a tracker, it's installed. Right, can I get someone to come out and take it out and put it into another machine?
We have auto electricians that go across the whole of the UK, install the product first. Then you call us up and say, look, we've decided we're going to replenish this chipper fleet that we've got. When you replenish the fleet, we want to take the trackers out and put them into the new ones. No problem. We come out, do the service, take the tracker out, put it into the new one.
So because you can get battery operated and hardwired ones, which ones? Or
we do both.
You do both?
We do both. So naturally what I was trying to be was the one-stop shop for tracking within the industry. So what we do today is we do an asset tracker, we do a plant tracker, we do a vehicle tracker. So basically, if I walk into an arborist, tree surgeon, construction-based business, I can track any asset that they like, apart from steel saws, blowers, strimmers, and all those kind of things.
Come up with a tracker for
well, there are little things that are starting to creep in the industry from Hilti and from other competitors of ours. The biggest downfall I've seen so far is it's all Bluetooth enabled rather than actually GSM or GPRS or cellular. And that's the downfall, because you know what they're going to do. They're going to put the string in the back of a vehicle and drive away, and you're never going to see it again. But one of the things that we are doing and we're going to advance into next year, because again, we're going down the health and safety route, which is predominantly seems to be one of the biggest factors of the industry, is we're going to start and we're going to create an app that's a walk-around check for plant. So basically, you turn up in the morning and your chipper's ready to go. You have to do the checks, which companies are starting to do paper checks, but we're going to do it all app-based, cloud-based. It's all going to sync into the actual platform we've already currently got. So basically, when you do the walk-around check, you're compliant to use the digger today, or you're compliant to use the chipper today. And you might envelop that as we go through in the next 3, 4, 5 years, because the industry's not there yet. But you have to have certain accreditation to actually physically turn the machine on. And that would really take our industry to the next level. And that's what we're kind of trying to get there. But unfortunately, construction industry is the least digitalized industry in the world. So unfortunately, you can't run before you can walk. Firstly, we want to do the tracking. Secondly, we're going to start to bring out these new behavioural changes. And then it offers a different sales pitch. And you don't have to buy the trackers to use the walk-around checks. My idea is you'll be able to buy the walk-around check app and not have the trackers, because I don't want to have to be the kind of business where you have to buy one to get the other.
Yeah,
you can.
I like that thing, because there's so many brands where you've gone, well, I specifically need this product that you make.
Yep.
Well, you need to buy this and you need to buy this, and you go, just look, you can get. I'm using a customer right now. Give me what I need.
Yes.
It's offering that flexibility to people that you go.
I want you to pay me, not tell you to go away. And that's something that's going to come out back end of this year or the latter part of the second half of the year, which might be another great talking point for them.
So connectivity, 5G, 4G, GPRS stuff?
Yeah, GPRS, GSM, mobile phone-based products and services, which again, the myth is, your mobile phone products are going to be, black spots in the country. Yeah. Absolutely, there are black spots in the country. I was in one in Surrey, not only Thursday, when I was driving around to see some groundworks companies. Some people live in the beautiful part of the world where there is no phone signal. But 4G and 5G is becoming more predominant. By 2025, I think they're trying to bring out that only 4G and 5G will be the go-to cellular. And also, it's the most common form for tracking, and it's the most accurate. So you can pinpoint said machine, said vehicle, and within 2 meters, put your arms out wide, you can see it. Or you can touch it. And with radio waves based products and services, which other companies do, you're looking at more of a radius parameter, which if you get in the machine, going into like getting the police to come out and recover assets, you aren't going to get a policeman to come out and say, well, it's in Ilkeston. Right, okay, whereabouts? No idea. It's just in Ilkeston. Yeah. If you go look for it, right, no, not going to happen. Whereas with us, you can say it's on Acacia Avenue in Ilkeston, it's down at the back by the gates, by the garage door. The police turn up.
Yeah, the police in the ARB industry just don't get along, because there's times where I know lads don't even ring them anymore to go, the machine's gone, there's no point. I'll ring 111, I'll get a crime reference number, and I'll go straight to the insurance company. Yeah. And that's where trackers can now come in, because if you ring, I can only assume, if you ring up the police saying I'm following the van, it's got me chipper in front of them, and you start...
Well, you're actually, the way that we describe it is very similar, and you're a threat to the community yourself then, because you want to get your machines back by hook or by crook. And predominantly that's what companies do. We don't advise you to go out and kind of go get it yourself, but at the same time, if you ring the police and say, look, we're travelling behind our own machine, it's been stolen, I've got a live tracker with a GPS position that's within 2 meters, we are now here, please can you join? They have a great response. And years gone by, the police were always the negative with regards to recovery, and that's definitely changed over the last 12 months.
Could you not say because it's made their job really easy to go?
Yeah, and they want numbers. Yeah.
Well, we can tick that box.
Tick that box. We've got another recovery, another fine job by the police. Yeah, that's what they want.
So I've come to my yard. I've opened up. The machine's gone. What do I do at that stage?
Well, predominantly what you should have had is already alerts set on the system, so the machine will alert you, telling the machine's been moved.
Is that the Geofence?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways that you do it. So a machine's going to be stolen in one of kind of 3 or 4 ways. One, it's in your yard. They lift it over the side of your steel girder gating, high a bit across, put it onto the back of something, drive it away. Yeah. Okay, so we've got an alert called the towaway alert, which enables you to get a text message straight away saying the machine's moved when it shouldn't be. You've got the Geofence Alert, which basically means you set the parameter around HS2, for example. The area you're working on HS2, if the machine leaves that area, tell me. Okay, and again, the machine will alert you. If the machine's turned on out of hours, it will send you a text. So the machine's turned on, they then drive it onto the back of a low loader and drive it away. It's sending you a text message. Yeah. And then also you've got the battery disconnection alert that covers all 3 bases. So again, old theory was cut the wire to the ignition barrel. Hopefully all the tracking systems go dead. Yeah. And no alerts are sent out. Well, our system will again alert you via a text message telling you. So you're 1 step ahead of the thief. Oh. And also
that's interesting the way it does that way. So have you seen it from both sides then? Do you actually work with the police and go?
Yeah, we speak to them. Yeah, very frequently.
How would the crooks
Yeah,
What are they
we
doing? What can
want
we
them
work
to be as educated as we are, because
Yeah.
they don't want the olden days where they'd say, we'll give you a crime reference number, give it to your insurance companies. Well, no one trusts the police anymore, do they? And they get a bad name for that. And my brother-in-law's a policeman, and you know, they want to get good results. I have chats with him about it. They just want a good result. They want to be able to provide good service. That's why they're doing it. So if we can give them and forearm them with more information and give them a GPS location that's down to 2 meters, they want to go get the result too. So when these alerts come through, what you're trying to do is be ahead of the curve. And my way of explaining it to, and Jack, who works for us, will say the same thing, is the immobilize. We can also immobilize machines remotely. We haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later.
Okay, so you immobilize the machine remotely. That's the preventative. The tracking system's the cure.
Yeah.
So you're preventing the theft or you're curing the theft. So either or. And you know, then you're getting the alerts. And again, you've got 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people working within your workforce. Everybody gets the alert. Don't just have the owner of the business get the alert. Get your contracts managers getting it. Get your plant manager getting it too. Because the more eyes that see it, the better. The more reaction.
I wouldn't even thought of doing that, because if it was me, I'd just have it pinged into my phone.
That's
then
again.
Come help
Yeah,
me.
because obviously that's natural though. As a business owner, you want the control element to it. So do I. But at the same time, what you want to do is you want to be able to give your workforce the autonomy to get the alerts through and go, do you know what? I care about this machine coming back as much as you do. And then we have a customer that's a plant hire company that have a WhatsApp group, and they get the alerts come through and they're on it straight away. Yeah. Is this alert real? Is that real? You know, is that alert supposed to be happening, or is that machine being used by the hirer at the weekend? And I get phone calls on Saturday morning saying the machine won't start. Well, it's immobilized. Yeah, there's a reason why the machine won't start. Great, we'll tick you down for an extra day's hire. There's also the way that it can actually return its investment in that respect too.
Yeah.
So you can immobilize your machines.
I like that idea.
Yeah, so the immobilization works in the fact that you can set it 2 ways. You can immobilize it via the app or the desktop. Yeah. Okay, 1 click, machine's dead, 30 seconds. Yeah. Second, you can immobilize it on a time schedule from 6 at night till 6 in the morning. Machine shut down, alerts on. If something goes missing, you're notified. Okay, what happens is machines are then out on hire Monday to Friday, and then on Saturday, machine needs to be used. What happens? They get a phone call, machine's not working, right? But you're not paying for the hire. Yeah. Oh, I just need to, right, okay, well, we'll tick you down. Right, okay, that machine might be 150 quid for the day. Yeah. If the tracking system's only £500, you only need 3 or 4 of those, and you've paid for your years worth of tracking.
For looking at a business owner, I like that idea, because it makes sure me machine's always making me money. Yep. But as the guy's hired that out going, I'll get a sneaky day out of it. Yep. You call your pants down on that one. So we were talking about the connectivity. Do the trackers have to see the satellites, or if it goes into a building, will the latest ping give it away still?
Yeah, so that's the question you get asked every single meeting, pretty much, predominantly. And so no GPRS, no GPS-based tracking system in the world will work inside a container. Okay, so a metal steel container, if they put the machine in there, it's not gone, but it's in the steel container, the signal is being jammed. You standing there with your mobile phone trying to make phone calls, it's not going to happen, okay? But the myth is they put them in steel containers. They don't, okay? So when people steal machines, they haven't got a steel container ready, and they aren't shipping it to Africa or Ireland or wherever these machines are destined to go imminently, okay? There is a process that they're taking as much as the process is setting up a business. They're kind of doing the same process, depending on who the thief is. If it's a hardened criminal, they're not going to put it in a steel container. They're going to put it on an industrial estate. So they put it on the back of a low loader, put it on the back of a little trailer, put it on an industrial estate, hide it.
Yeah, leave it for a couple of days.
Leave it on the industrial estate, so it's on, Smethwick Road Industrial Estate in Wolverhampton. Yeah. Okay? You go past it verbatimly every day when you're running your skip hire business. Oh, that's a chipper. Never seen that before. But you don't say anything. I don't ring the company on the side of it. You just leave it sat still. A couple of days go by, they then move the chipper and they go on. They don't hide them in wooded areas. I was having this conversation again on Thursday with a guy in Surrey. You don't hide them in a wooded area, because we recovered a machine not only, November, December time. It was a Bomag roller in Burnley, and basically they'd put it in a wooded area. Lady was walking her dog. She rung the hire company and said, I've seen a roller here Saturday morning. And she was like, is that roller supposed to be there? No. Let me see. Right, okay. These guys had no alerts set, because some hire companies don't set the alerts because they don't want to be notified out of hours if the machines are being used. Right, that machine's, go recover the machine, take it back to site, back into Blackburn. So it's kind of, it's a tricky question to answer because no, it doesn't work, but there's a reason why it doesn't work. And nor would many other systems in the whole country work in the same location. You're trying to stop it, prevent it, or get the alerts from it before it goes there.
So you've seen like these films where people walk up with this little key fob and they start the vehicles, and even now keyless theft is becoming a major thing in the industry. Is there a way, like, signal jammers for the trackers? Do crooks actually go around with them in hand and go?
I believe so. I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. I've never seen them actually working. We once upon a time, back in 2014-15, a jammer was left on a telehandler seat of a machine that we recovered. They turned the jammer on, took the machine where they took it, turned the jammer off. Yeah. Ping, location through, ping, get the machine recovery. I believe there are things out there that can jam mobile phone signal. But if you can imagine, if they're jamming mobile phone signal, they're jamming mobile phone signal in an area which I'm sure that the police are going to be kind of keeping an eye on that kind of thing too. So all of a sudden there's these kind of things aren't supposed to be happening, what's going on, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I haven't physically ever in my 2.5 years of doing this, even with going out to recoveries and actually being with them when they're recovering machines, and getting phone calls on a night just saying, is this machine live? Yes, it's live. It's been stolen. Yes, it's definitely there. Sometimes customers want that extra feel of, yes, we're going down to this machine. So I've never seen it work, to be honest.
I know there's one guy in particular, he's got 2 different companies, 2 different trackers on the machine, quite like within a prominent area. If you took the side cover off the machine in question, you'd see these 2 little black boxes and you'd go, is that something people advise to say, like, get 2 trackers put on the same machine, or is it just...
I don't know, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because obviously 2 trackers, 2 different lots of revenue, 2 different lots of subscriptions, 2 different lots of cost, and that kind of puts people off. However, I've seen a rise in people buying 2 trackers this year for sure. It's the people that have machines stolen that go, right, we're going to buckle our belt. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a hardwired unit in. We're going to put a non-powered unit in. And what we do is we covertly install all of the hardwired trackers into the machines. Yeah. It takes us 2 hours per install. You shouldn't even see the tracker when you go open up the side. Yeah. It shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be visible. What you can also do is, you could also put dummy units in too. And you can actually make people think that that's the tracker, take it out, and actually, and we've also found that that's been quite predominant too, and that those kind of things have started to become a little bit more. There's a little bit more traction in that right now, but a lot of people that we go deal with just like the fact that they know again, going back to it, I know you keep saying it, we're industry specific. They know what we do, and you know that Tom, Dick, and Harry or Joe Blogg's Tree Surgery is using our products because they've already spoke about it on arbtalk.net or they've rung each other, and the industry is so tight knit. I've learned that over the last 6 weeks. Yeah, people that you can speak to people, and I'll speak to someone in Shrewsbury, and I'll mention Joe Soap in Nottingham, and he knows him.
Yeah, because when I was speaking to you, you're like, "Oh, do you know so and so?" I was like, "Yeah, I spoke to him last week. Do you know this person?" Yeah. People forget the ARB industry. There's only like 30,000 of us in the UK. Yeah. But even like I'll meet brand new people who have never met in my life and go, "Oh, you know so and so," and I was like, "Oh, that's how I've already heard about you because I spoke to him, I spoke to you, spoke to so on." I'm going to look at the theft and recovery aspect. How much? So, my machine's been stolen. It's got a tracker. What is the recovery rate?
So recovery rate at the moment, we did a newsletter just 3 or 4 days ago. 95% is the recovery rate at the moment. Okay, so it's quite high. Yeah. And I know that's quite high, but it's quite high for a reason, because of the things that we put in the background, the time and effort that we put into installation, the time that we do. I could be the best salesperson, have the best product and the best service in the world, but if it's fitted in the wrong way and the guys that turn up don't fit them correctly, and our subcontractors that we trust to go out there and do this work don't do it to their full competency, then it's useless. Yeah. So we do have a large recovery rate. The 5% that we lose, a lot of people say, well, you lose 5%, why? They could not set alerts. That, if someone really, really wants your machine, they're going to take it. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer of that too. So the kind of synergy between what we recover and what we don't recover is far higher in recovery. In terms of the amount of cost that we recovered, in terms of, machinery, it can range from a £15,000 Forbes chipper like we recovered 2 weeks ago to a £75,000 digger.
What has been the biggest recovery for yourself?
So the biggest recovery is the £75,000 digger.
Oh.
And, how exciting was that when the police are recovering it? And, that £75,000 13-ton excavator is large excavator, has to be moved on a low loader. That buzz that night was extremely exciting. The theft happened and it occurred just as the guys had left site. So it's not the middle of the night, because obviously if you're moving a machine in the middle of the night, a lot of people go, or the police go, what's going on? So 6 o'clock the site shut down, 6:45 they go in.
That's soon.
Yeah, really quickly. High-vis jacket, low loader, looked like the part and parcel of it.
Well, that's with the construction industry. Like, we know vehicle, like people peeling the doors back. If you turn up in a white van, looking like a builder, on a building site, no one's going to say, hang on, you're standing like a sore thumb here. Yeah. Is it that? Yeah.
So we recovered that. You don't naturally tend to find like 3, 4, 5, 6 items go at the same time.
Yeah.
It's usually like one chipper here or one digger there. Or we had another instance where it was a machine and a compressor. The compressor was put on the back of a low loader. The machine wasn't moved because it was immobilised. They couldn't steal that. But they stole another machine that was on a hire from another hire company that had no trackers. So they put that on the back of, which in turn naturally led to us going in to do the meeting with the hire company that had no trackers. Yeah. And they bought 55 units on the back of that. Because they'd stolen the compressor, but they couldn't steal the excavator. So that would be the biggest recovery that we've had to date.
So having the tracker on your machine, does it actually reduce your insurance, or does it have the opposite effect?
Insurance companies seem to be not so forthcoming with giving discount. You don't get a negative, or you don't get anything, let's say negative for not or for having it, if that makes sense. So a lot of the time it's more of a case of, do you want to see your machine there tomorrow? Yes. We all have insurance. We have house insurance, we have life insurance, we have mortgage insurance, we have every insurance that you can have thrown at you, don't you? You have to take them all, predominantly. And you also have insurance on your chippers, you have insurance on your vehicles, you have public liability, everything, tick, 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 tick. The biggest thing is, do you want the problematic phone call on a Monday morning saying, I've had 3 chippers stolen?
Yeah.
And your premium was £12,000. Okay, you pay your £12,000, you get your 3 new chippers in 12 months' time. Or what happens then after that as well, the next 12-month cycle is where you get really hit in the belly, and the £12,000 premium then becomes £18,000, which, as we all know, and with the COVID and all of the climate that we're going through, is that the prices seem to be increasing on everything. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get that money back somewhere along the line in terms of increasing our work, increasing, the price that we have to, the contract values that we go out and do. So the insurance companies need to be as educated as I'm saying our actual customer base need to be. Yes. We need to be sat in front of these insurance companies. The problem is that, going back to our original conversation, is one person coming in and meeting another small to medium and large enterprise that's owned by one guy. You get the synergy. Insurance companies, it's just all behind call centre. Yeah,
call centre just make money. It's like we want your stuff to go missing every now and again because you won't need us any other way.
Yeah.
Why don't manufacturers just install trackers as standard?
So they are.
They finally doing it now. Do it.
So there are certain, not maybe in this specific sector, as in chippers and stump grinders. There are people out there that are doing it on excavators, telehandlers and the like. And that's great. Okay, the positive is, yes, it would come with it on. Yeah. The negative is, it comes with it on and it's fitted verbatimly in the same place on a production line. So all of a sudden the tracker is on the same digger. So a Bobcat E27 is fitted in the same location every time. So I'm a firm believer that, yes, we want to deal with OEMs, and I would like my business to expand into that sector one day. Yeah. The problem I have is that I come to you as I go into Forbes and say, look, guys, we want to retrospectively fit something on every single machine that you now produce in the UK, Sweden, and everywhere. And they say, yeah, great, we'll fit it into the ECU, we'll make all the wiring loom fit into there too. All you got to do is connect your black box. Yeah. The problem is, the black box then, on every Forbes, ST6 is in the same place.
Yeah.
So then we're contradicting what I originally wanted to do when I set up the business.
Yeah, because there's no way you could do it to say, right, we'll encase it in metal and then we'll just have a little aerial coming out where the radio is.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that are now encasing it into the ECU of machines.
Yeah.
Okay, but then you're still having the same problem. They'll rip the ECU out and they'll just use the machine as parts. There's always going to be someone that wants it for different to what you think.
Yeah, no force that way.
So what we do is we retrospectively fit it, and yes, we would like to speak to the likes of Forbes and all these kind of manufacturers that do it, because obviously, why wouldn't you? But at the same time, I'd rather deal with the end user, because the end user then gets what they want out of it, rather than being horseshoed what a manufacturer does.
Is there any myths around trackers at all?
What do you mean?
Like I say, well, trackers are the best thing in the world ever. They'll 100%. I'll get you machines.
More the opposite. So probably more the opposite. So unfortunately, fortunately for me, I'm tracker mad, and obviously that's what I do and what I love and what I've done for a long, long time. You get a lot more people say, well, they don't work. We've heard they don't work. I've got a mate of a mate of a mate of a mate that had a digger stall with a tracker on that didn't work. And my answer to that is, look, I completely get you. However, you've never used my products and services before that's been designed for machines, been designed for your industry. And look, I say it to the guys that are on the phone, you might not win today, but one day they're going to call you back. If you handle it in the right way, one day you're going to get a phone call. I did it the other day. They were using another tracking provider, and I know this guy quite well, and I kept saying to him, one day you're going to need me. When those guys let you down, just give me a call. Honestly, just give me a call. And what happened was, Tuesday morning, I get a message through LinkedIn. That day's turned up. That day's arose. What do you mean? We've been let down. No more questions needed, no more questions answered. I can be with you tomorrow afternoon. Again, very responsive, very much like the industry that we work in or we're talking about today is, tree's gone down, let's respond within 2 hours. Very responsive, let's go see them tomorrow. Order for 8. Straight away.
What are your thoughts on people using AirTags and the little Samsung devices? Because there's one firm I know that bought someone specifically, because they do mainly inner city workings, where everyone's always walking past with a phone, so it can always kind of like ping off in the area, and most of the time if the thief's going out to nick a machine, the likelihood he's might have an iPhone, might have a Samsung phone, he's going to track himself anyway.
So I believe from the research that I did, you can have 15 Apple tags associated to your Apple account. So once you get beyond 15, you need another person within your business to have the other 15. What you then don't want is the problematic problem of that machine's been stolen, whose phone is it on?
Yeah, it's definitely...
There's definitely downsides.
It was a cheaper option, and I'm thinking...
I think we've been offered a Bluetooth RFID tag kind of, similar kind of thing that we could link to our newer products that are coming out now. So the new hardware that's coming out now is all going to be LE, Bluetooth enabled. We believe, and the industry believes, and also... all of the people that are in tracking believe that that's where it's going to go. It's not there yet. It's like 2G being switched off. It's not going to be switched off in 2025. It might be. So I believe they're a great idea. I don't dismiss anybody's idea because we're all in it to make our own little bit. If I believed in something enough to do the tagging, I would already be doing it. And you speak to manufacturers and you speak to people that make these kind of things, and they're not singing and shouting and dancing about it, so I'm not going to either.
Is the government doing anything at all?
Not that I know of.
No, just sitting on the hands as per usual.
Yeah, not to dismiss it so much. I know they've got lots of other things going on, but machine theft and construction and ARB and trees being in the middle of the road is building a house is where the whole economy starts. Yeah. Because you buy a house, you buy a car, you buy a new car to fit in with the street, you buy a new bed, so building a house or the foundations or the groundworks that go into all of that is where the economy lifts from. They have to do more. A tree being down in the road or something going into the A1 or the M1 shuts the M1 for 10 minutes, an hour. I was sat with one of the sales guys that we employed the other day, and he said, I think it's like £1 million every hour the A1's shut.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
Insane.
So imagine a tree falling down on the A1, and you need to go out as the arborist to go take your chipper and chip down all of this mess. Well, if you can't because your chipper's been stolen, again, it goes back, maybe the government should be doing more, educating more, or helping in some respect. But, I mean, that's an open-ended question that you could talk about for hours.
Right, I'm listening to the podcast, and I'm thinking... I'm going to I'm thinking of getting a tracker, but then again, I'm thinking of not. What would you say to someone?
Call me. Because honestly, the best advice I can give you is call us and have a chat. We're not here to give you the hard sell. We're here to help you. My vision and my mission as a business when I first started was to be the most customer-centric tracking telematics provider in the industry, because then it's customer-driven. If you think that you might need it, we can help you understand why you might need it more, or actually talk you and say, maybe you don't need it. We're not here to just make a quick buck.
Yeah.
I'm not here to make the Friday money. I'm here to have longevity in the industry and be the trusted partner that people come to and say, you've given me some really sound advice there. One day I'll buy from you, but today is not the day.
Right.
So that's what I would say is give us a call and talk it through. If it's one chipper, understanding what your value is, why do you need it, what do you want, how easy is it to see it, how easy is it to get you on the platform, can we come and install it at your place rather than can we do it on site, can we not, do you want it all back at your yard so no one sees, or, you know, out in the field. So yeah, my advice would be that. I know I went off on a tangent slightly, but just give us a call and have a chat.
What's the best way people can get in touch with you?
Best way for me is, not for me or for the business, is just call the office number. So the office number is on these wonderful things behind us, but just give us a call in the office, have a chat with the sales team, have a chat with me. You can call me on the mobile direct. My mobile number's on our website. I did that as we've grown as a business, we now turn over £1 million. Okay, and when we got to £1 million, I was like, wow, that's fantastic, and I was proud of it too. And I don't talk about it very often, but I want to stay grounded and humble, and I want people like you that owned a business previously in the industry, or the guy that's got one chipper, to be able to reach out to me and say, do you know what, I've got a chipper, tell me why I need it. So my mobile number's on the website for that reason, and I'll never take it off, because I want people to. I still get phone calls, cold calls about all sorts, but I listen to everybody. Yeah. Because I do the same thing. If you've got something cool to sell, I'll listen, and I'll probably meet you. But if you don't, then you get the, please leave me alone.
Ben, thank you very much for inviting us up So Track, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.